Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and peace be upon you all, and welcome to this new episode of Daqiq Al Kalam, Islam and Natural Philosophy series with Dr. Basil AlTaie. And today we will talk about yet another interesting topic, space, time, and cosmology. But before we do that, I would like to remind everybody, if you are not already subscribed to Finding Truth channel, please do, and also do subscribe to Dr. Basil AlTaie's YouTube channel, which you can find both of them right down there in the ticker. Dr. Basil, assalamu alaikum. How are you doing today, sir?
Wa alaikum assalam. Alhamdulillah. Thank
Alhamdulillah.
you, Mr. Ahmed, and may God bless you for your good work.
Inshallah, bismillah. Same to you, and we hope people find out about our great legacy, our great Islamic legacy and Islamic thought from your continued studies and teaching. So, being so interested to know what Islam has to say about space, time, and cosmology, let's go ahead with your presentation, maybe.
Yes. Let's go to the presentation directly.
Yeah.
Well, as I talked in the last episodes about the principles of Daqiq Al-Kalam, this is the fifth principle, actually, and the final principle in my classification of the principles of Daqiq Al-Kalam, which is space, time, and cosmology. The basic idea of this principle is that the Mutakallimun found that the Greek conception of space and time is incomplete, despite that the Aristotelian philosophy correctly considers the time as a measure of change. It doesn't account for the relativity of time. In Greek philosophy, time and space both are absolute. And by the way, Ibn Hazm has made it clear. He pointed out to this concept being absolute in the Greek philosophy, while in the Islamic view, it is relative.
Relative. Okay.
Also, Aristotle denied the possibility of existence of empty space.
Okay.
But the Mutakallimun found the need for such a place where the Jawhar, Jawahir actually, the atoms can move. Without free space, there will be no way that the Jawahir can move. This they call the Khala, and we will come in the application when we talk about the vacuum in episode number 9. We'll talk about the Khala as part of the concept of the vacuum.
Okay.
On the other hand, time in the Greek conception is also absolute, something that exists even in the absence of motion or events, whereas according to Mutakallimun, time exists along with the space, and it is relative. No absolute time, no absolute space. This was best actually presented by Abu Hamid Al-Ghazali. I mean, you may not find it so clear as was presented by Abu Hamid Al-Ghazali in his book, The Incoherence of the Philosophers, where he explained clearly and in very clear sentences that there is no absolute above and no absolute below. This we know. This we know. No absolute above. For example, if I put something on my head, it is above me or above the ground. But then there is also some other
celestial body.
Not only celestial body. I have the other floor in this building. Is also
it is below it.
And so on. We are below, and we are not above them. We are above the floor, below us, and we are below the floor which is above us. So this is well
Yeah.
known. This was well known, but Abu Hamid argued that time is have the same status. There is no absolute before, no absolute after, and the
Oh,
time should be considered also that there is on same as space. We will come to that perhaps in a few minutes.
okay. It's amazing
Finally,
how did he يعني have this idea? How did this idea come to him? Is it just pure thought or
I will explain.
it's going to come. All right, great. Okay.
Also, according to Mutakallimun, space and time are both discrete, made of
Okay.
atoms or non-divisible parts. So there is an
Interesting.
atom for the space, an indivisible part for the space, and an indivisible part for the time. They call it,
Okay.
for the time, they call it ana,
And
al-an. It is
okay.
the present moment,
The exact present. Okay.
exact present, yeah, which vanishes
Um,
immediately after it exists.
yeah. Yeah.
Now,
Very,
the
very, very
motivation,
small
if you
delta.
understand the motivation, then I can answer your question. How
Hmm.
Mohammed or others
Yeah.
have thought of such. You see,
Absolutely.
it is important to know that language is not only a means of communication.
Yeah.
According to modern linguistic studies, language is a means of thinking.
Yes.
So it is
Yes.
correct. It's true if you say this guy is thinking in Arabic and that guy is thinking in English or Latin,
Yeah.
and the other guy is thinking in Chinese.
Hmm.
Thinking, not only speaking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, motivation of this principle, we should know that are fully rational. There is no religious
Uh-huh.
motivation for
Okay.
it. No clear religious motivation, at least.
Hmm.
But there are observations and lingual cultural cognition.
Okay.
In Arabic, time is related to space,
Mm-hmm.
and space is related to time. And there can be no meaning to allocate a time without space.
Okay.
So you would say, for example, in Arabic, I will come to see you at sunrise.
Mm-hmm.
The allocation of time of meeting in this example is associated with the rising sun, which
Yeah.
is defined as an event happening in a well-defined place, which is the east.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a
Right.
definition of the place, a location of the place, and a location of time.
Yeah.
Events happens according to, Arabic. It's in space and time.
All
You
right.
cannot you cannot say an event happens in time only without specifying a space,
Okay.
and the other way around.
Hmm.
Also, you
Amazing.
cannot talk about something happening in time without allocating a space. Nothing happens in a place without
Fine.
telling what's the time.
Yeah.
No free space exists in as I said, in the Aristotelian philosophy, since the space is the thin surface which is surrounding the body. Here we should be clear about. The concept of space, according to Mutakallimun, is different from the concept of space according to Aristotle and the Greek philosophy.
Okay.
According to the Greek philosophy, space is the thin surface covering the body.
It's the contour.
Yeah, it is a very thin surface covering the body. This is the space. And That is how the body is occupying this space.
What about the volume of the body itself?
Elsewhere, there should be no space. There should be some kind of matter. And when they argued with Aristotle, especially, what kind of matter is there around this, for example, body? He would say that the space is full of the fifth element, which is the ether.
Okay.
So there is never an empty space.
I see.
According to Aristotle. According to Mutakallimun, there is no ether.
Yeah.
There is a free space. And this body would be allowed to move, and this is one of their arguments against Aristotle, without crushing the vacuum, the
other material that's filling the space.
No collision with the vacuum, with the ether.
Yeah.
With the proposed ether of Aristotle.
I see.
Now, how Aristotle will argue, I would say, oh yes, your ether here around you in this place is very, very mild, is very, very thin ether. Well, why do you say it is exists then? He says, because all celestial bodies are composed of ether, of a condensed ether. So he was obliged to generalize the presence of ether everywhere. It is, when you look at a star, the star is a condensed ether.
Okay, so he had a difference between how celestial bodies are formed and how the normal matter that we see about us is formed.
Okay. Exactly. The normal matter is the matter in the what they call the lower world, the world which is
Earth for us.
Yeah, the corruption, the corrupt world, which is formed and corrupt, while the heavens are immune. They are immutable. They don't change. Every celestial body is eternal.
I see.
And the world, the above world is heavenly. The heavens are eternal.
So he made a difference between the substance of this earthly corrupted world, and he considered the celestial bodies to be part of heaven, and then it is condensed ether.
Exactly.
It's a different nature.
Anything from the moon onwards are celestial bodies, and they are composed of different sort of matter, not ordinary matter.
I see. Okay.
And they are eternal. They never corrupt. They never degenerate.
Which was different from what Abu Hamid said about the sun. He said the sun can be consumed because he considered it normal matter.
Before that, Abu Hamid, long before Abu Hamid, 200 years before Abu Hamid, Al-Baqillani, in his book تمهيد الأوائل وتلخيص الدلائل, Tamheed in simple, in short, Tamheed, in his book Tamheed, he clearly spelled it out, and he said there is nothing true in what they claim, that there are heavenly bodies which are composed of fifth element or something like that. Every body in the universe is composed of these four alleged four elements, although Al-Baqillani didn't believe in the four elements at all, because it is connected also with the astrology. So in the same chapter, he negates the eternity of the celestial bodies, and he negates the effect, any kind of astrological effect of the celestial bodies, and affirms this. Al-Baqillani affirms that that these bodies are composed of the same matter, like the Earth.
Brilliant.
This is really brilliant
Brilliant,
indeed.
of course. Yeah.
Indeed, how could it be? It's the fourth century, fourth after Hijrah century. That's the 10th century AD.
Yeah. Yeah. SubhanAllah.
So
Amazing.
it is amazing. Once I told a professor of philosophy at the University of Mosul, he is the head of the Department of Philosophy. I told him this, that Abu Tayyib al-Baqillani said this. He said, impossible.
Yeah.
Impossible. This by itself is a discovery. Where I can find it. And I directed him to the book of Al-Tamhid, and he said, I will write a full paper about it, a research.
Wow.
It is a discovery. Nobody has mentioned that.
Amazing. Amazing. Plenty of jewels in the ancient Islamic thought.
Jewels, especially with the mutakallimun, because they were thinking in a way which is different from the others, and they opened their mind to the Quran at the same time. They had a working mind, not only sticking to the interpretations of the fuqaha or the narrations only. Narrations are highly respected, definitely.
Yeah.
But they don't count as on the same level as the Quran.
Yeah.
That's why they were not arguing with the narration, fearing that somebody would immediately say, this hadith is, I reject it, because it is not authentic enough.
Yeah,
it's not sahih according to the, for example, the conditions or of Al-Bukhari or Muslim or Al-Nasai has some reservations, etc. So they didn't want to get into such, hassle.
Yeah.
They don't want
so they depended on eliminating their minds by the words of the Quran and
clear. And Quran, nobody can say this ayah is not correct and there is a different. They may say the different interpretation. That's possible. That's possible.
Yeah.
But the text is fixed.
It's fixed.
And is authentic. All Muslims agree on the Quran.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Space-time according to Al-Ghazali. In this, really, I took this example, although there are many other examples. But Ghazali is prominent for in this topic. In his book, The Incoherence of the Philosophers, he discussed in details the concepts of space and time, maybe in 20 or 40 pages. And their symmetries. He established the following. I can summarize in 4 points what he said. He said space is the same as time in respect of symmetry. The above and below are relative positions. So the before and after are relative appointments or points in time. There is no absolute before, no absolute after. All are defined in respect to reference point. It's exactly what we teach now in physics. Second, time is a dimension. بعد زماني. He says فالبعد الزماني كالبعد المكاني.
Interesting.
And once I was telling this to Sheikh Hamza Yusuf of the United States, perhaps you know him.
Yeah, Zaytuna University.
Zaytuna University. I met him in United Arab Emirates once. And he said, no, Dr. Basil, it could be البعد الزماني كالبعد المكاني. So I have to go back again and look, and it is كالبعد مش بعد. البعد الزماني, extension. It is translated by Michael Mamura, extension. البعد الزماني كالبعد المكاني. It is really some brilliant.
Brilliant mind.
How would he think it is nobody have talked about bu'd
Yeah.
except Al-Ghazali.
SubhanAllah.
Nobody before him, nobody after him.
Mm.
As far as I know.
Brilliant mind.
I searched. I made a big search.
Yeah. SubhanAllah.
Ilham.
Yeah.
Yeah. The time is, as I mentioned, we said the time should be treated on equal footing
With space.
with the space. And this is only a new idea that all these ideas are brought by the theory of relativity.
Yeah.
As concepts, I mean.
Yeah.
I don't mean that Mohammed Al-Ghazali has a full theory of relativity before Einstein, as somebody else may pick up this point and start talking about. No,
Yeah.
I said conceptually.
Yeah.
The concept. That is why I can say that Al-Ghazali was forerunner for relativity theory.
Yeah.
As Max Schemer said about Al-Nadham, he's forerunner in about the quantum jump or quantum mechanics.
Yes.
Yeah, because Al-Nadham believed in tafra, that motion could happen in jumps. Jumps, tafra.
Jumps. Okay.
So he took it. After Max Schemer allowed himself to say that, I would allow myself to say that Al-Ghazali is a forerunner of the theory of relativity.
Yeah.
Why not? And
Fair
I'm
enough.
sure if he has studied Al-Ghazali, he haven't studied Al-Ghazali apparently. He would have recognized that.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other big point with Al-Ghazali is breaking the symmetry of space and time. You know, what is symmetry of space and time? Or symmetry of space, for example, apart from time, at the same time. He says, if we bring 2 cups of water and put it in front of a person, one to the left and one to the right, both same shape, same size, same magnitude, same color, identical. 2 identical cups of water, full of water. And we put it in front of a person who is thirsty. He will pick up one of them.
Yeah.
Whether it is right or left, it depends on what?
His preference.
It could be depend on whether he is left-handed or right-handed, of course. But removing all the properties, the intrinsic properties of the person, we are left with nowhere to choose how this symmetry is broken.
Yeah. Only his free will.
The same example is given by Steven Weinberg, who died a few months ago.
Yeah.
A great physicist.
Yeah.
He gives an example about breaking the symmetry by saying, let us put 2 stack of food in front of a donkey. How would the donkey choose between this or that? Again, Al-Ghazali has presented in more polite way, not talking about a donkey, he talked about a human being.
Yeah.
But it is the same example.
Yeah.
This is called symmetry breaking in physics.
Yeah.
And the symmetry breaking subject is very important to understand how the universe began, or how particle can break the symmetry to produce new other particles, etc., etc. This is one of the important topics and there is something called spontaneous symmetry.
Yeah.
According to Al-Ghazali, breaking the symmetry of space-time needs a particularizer.
Someone who's choosing which pile should happen.
Between 2 two identical possibilities, which pile or a haystack or glass of water or
Yeah. Yeah. If the odds for
yeah.
this
So
photon to
this
go
what
left or right
we
is the
what
same, then
we
somebody
said
must be choosing.
there must be a particularizer. In his opinion, for creating the universe, there were a full symmetry, and this symmetry was broken. The full symmetry is the vacuum, is the nothingness. كان الله ولا شيء معه.
No.
God was there with nothing, and then God was there,
Created. Yeah.
ومعه العالم, with him the world,
Yeah.
or the world existed.
Yeah.
It means that the world has existed after breaking that symmetry,
Yeah.
you see, of the nothing, of the vacuum. How?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is what
Amazing.
we call the initial conditions for creation of the universe.
Yes.
Nobody knows now in physics what are such initial
It
conditions.
it is what Stephen Hawking has referred to when he said that gravity
Yeah,
plus empty space plus quantum fluctuations can account for the universe, but then he needs to explain what makes gravity suddenly generate negative energy and cause particles to exist. Somebody must take the decision and direct the whole process, correct?
that's right.
Yeah.
Exactly. We
Yeah.
don't deny that. My PhD thesis, actually, 40 years ago, is about this subject. I have calculated the basic vacuum energy needed to create the universe.
Ah,
Yeah,
amazing.
exactly. Vacuum energy, and that's the title of my thesis: vacuum energy and Bose-Einstein condensation in an Einstein universe. In the first two chapters, I show that the universe was created out of vacuum by a very, very strong curvature of space-time took place. We don't know why. And then immediately vacuum turned into particles, and these particles, or an energy, actually turned first into an energy. This energy uh, went to a very high temperature, not infinite, but high temperature, very high temperature, 10 to the power 32 Kelvin, at which point, at which point particles condense. Those bosons, the first creation was bosons. You can say the Higgs particles if you like. Yeah, it is, because they are bosons anyway. Because they are bosons, they can go and occupy one coherent state. When they became those bosons, massless, by the way, they were massless bosons. When they became or settled in a coherent state, they form what is called the Bose condensate. And they turned from being massless to massive.
Okay.
At that moment, the universe started dropping, the temperature of the universe started dropping according to the Planck law.
All right.
At that moment, Planck
And
law
then
was born.
and then particles can exist.
And then particle can exist, and not only exist, but exchange energy.
Yeah.
Because in the first phase, which we call the Casimir, I will talk about it also later in episode 9. At the first stage, it doesn't interact, the particles, I mean, with energy only, massless particles with energy only. And then they condense into a massive particle. Once they condense into massive particles, they can emit and absorb energy, and the Planck will be at work. Planck law.
Interesting.
the black body radiation.
Yes, and so you start with an act that needs an external actor
Yeah,
to bend space-time, and
yeah,
then this causes high temperature, sets the background with Higgs boson field, and then you have photons, and then you have particles, and then you have particles exchanging photons, and then the reactions would proceed. And
yeah.
then the question will also, all at every point of those, how come we just don't have a sphere of things, and how come we have different densities in different places, etc. And
Yeah,
the point is, yeah,
this is the rest is only scenario that can be built up, like the scenario of the Big Bang, for example.
yes,
The
yes,
Big Bang, it starts at that point, not at the point of creation.
yeah,
The Big
yeah,
Bang is a later,
it's a
is a
later stage.
slightly later, I mean, a fraction of a second later, when the temperature becomes maximum and radiation transform into particles. At that moment, the Big Bang took place. Before
and
that, it's a pre-Big Bang stage. We
and
call it
and and
the
this is the
Cosmology.
and this is the maximum that we can see on the cosmic microwave background
Yes,
radiation, for example.
as far as we know now, although there are many other questions within the same. But the rest, how phase transitions, etc., how the atoms are formed, etc., is well known now. It's
Yeah,
well explained, very beautiful explanation in the book called The First 3 Minutes by Stephen
first
Wayne.
3 minutes. All
And
right.
it has been translated to Arabic long time ago. It's a very good book.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So at this point, what Al-Ghazali says is that we need a particularizer. It means we need an external actor to cause things
Exactly.
to take this path in the first place.
Exactly.
All right.
Concerning cosmology, Mutakallimun believe that the space and time are created along the creation of the world. So there is nothing, no meaning to the question what was happening before the creation of the universe, or where did the universe was created, in which place.
Hmm. Hmm.
The
Okay.
universe is the place. The universe is the time. So
Okay.
there is no time before the creation of the universe. And this what is affirmed, which has been several times by big scientists like Hawking and others.
Yeah.
Hawking gives an example. He says, if you walk on the surface of the earth, you will not find an end. You will continuously walk, and there is no limit or edge.
Yeah.
So that's how the universe also it is. The
Yeah.
universe must have a beginning, not in time, but with time, and not in space, but with space. Al-Ghazali questioned if the world would have been created, whether the world could be created larger or smaller than what it is. He analyzed this question and the arguments of the philosophers against it. Obviously, Aristotle and the Greek philosopher say no, the universe cannot be created larger or smaller. Because if you create it larger or smaller, it would be completely different universe. Yeah, it would deteriorate. And that's what Ibn Rushd, Ibn Rushd, defended in his book. I mean, when Al-Ghazali said no, the result of the analysis and discussion of Al-Ghazali, he concluded that the universe could be bigger and could be smaller, and could be smaller. Nothing
Yeah.
against it. There
So
is no.
according to that, so Al-Ghazali would easily accept the currently
That's right.
observed expansion of
That's
the
right.
universe, for
He
example.
says there is no reason, for the universe to be smaller or larger than what it is. Both are allowed. So he would accept the expansion of the universe or the contraction of the universe too.
Okay.
Although he doesn't say that the universe is now expanding. Otherwise, he would have discovered the expansion before Hubble.
Yeah.
No,
But
he
at least he
didn't.
allowed. At least he
He
allowed for
allowed
it.
the possibility.
Yeah.
Contrary to the philosophers, including Ibn Rushd and including Ibn Sina and Farabi, and that's the greatness of this guy, Al-Ghazali.
Amazing. Amazing.
Al-Ghazali negated the existence of a void and matter beyond the limit of finite universe. I mean, when you ask him what is there beyond the universe, he said there is nothing beyond. There is no place beyond the universe. And if he affirmed that there is no outside for the universe other than its surface. Clearly, he said, if we say outside the universe, then we mean its surface.
Al-Ghazali says that.
Yeah. And this is what relativity says, general relativity.
So for him, outside of the universe, there is no space or time anymore, because this is where space and time ends.
There is no outside for the universe, actually, according to Al-Ghazali. Now, analyzing the scientific value, again in short, if we compare the Kalam view...
But there is no outside for material or energetic objects, but maybe for angels or for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they do not need to be contained. He's talking about the material world.
No physical outside.
The physical,
Physical.
Just for the audience to
be
sure
you want to talk about metaphysical existence or angels or whatever, it could be. Now, the scientific value of this view is that if we compare the Kalam views on space-time with the current scientific views, we soon find that it agrees with the concepts brought up by the theory of relativity. The universe, in the current scientific view, had a beginning by the so-called Big Bang, which we will talk about in a coming episode. It is finite also, and is expanding.
Amazing.
Space-time symmetry breaking may not need an external, mind you, particularizer, since there is a possibility for a spontaneous symmetry breaking. This question needs to be studied by the new mutakallimun because this is what science says. So I'm not going to say or claim that the space-time symmetry breaking specifically would always need a particularizer, as I said, because there is something called spontaneous symmetry breaking. So if I'm going to study this subject, I have to look for a particularizer that is internal within the system.
But how can we logically find a particularizer internal to a system that starts by absolute vacuum?
I don't know. Maybe not. Because then, this is perhaps a self-defeating argument. Because I have already showed that the particularizer cannot be internal.
Yes, this is what I mean. Philosophically, we can rule out the matter of being internal.
That's right. But this is a free thinking to some extent. I mean, I'm not saying that we should have always free thinking independent of the guidance of the... No, I am a believer. And I believe in a free thinking within certain limits. Otherwise, I better speak in the tongue of atheists. And in that case, I I will fall in paradoxes.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and I
It is
don't want
always the mind that is illuminated by divine
exactly.
revelation can
The
reach to,
mind
can
is
anchor to truth. Yeah.
illuminated, yes, by the faith,
Yeah.
not to limit the rational inquiry.
Absolutely.
This is
Absolutely.
important
This is
because
important.
some
Yeah.
people claim that we are, or Abu Hamid Al-Ghazali even, like Tyson, for example. Neil Tyson, the great
Yeah.
Neil Tyson,
Yeah.
has claimed Abu Hamid Al-Ghazali destroyed the Islamic civilization.
Wow.
Oh yes, I have a YouTube refuting him,
Yeah. Yeah.
showing him that this Tyson doesn't know. He's ignorant of what Al-Ghazali was talking about.
Probably if he watches this series, he should change his mind, maybe.
Perhaps.
We should send him an invitation.
You know, I told some of the mutakallimun ideas, atomism of time, for example, to one big scientist who is Carlo Rovelli in an email, and he was shocked. He said,
Yeah,
"How could
he
they think?"
he does plenty of studies about the nature of time, and
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, he is one of the masters of quantum gravity. I mean,
yeah,
and he was shocked, you know, how these people were thinking of such ideas.
yeah,
Only the point that the time is atomized.
yeah,
What if
yeah.
he reads the jewels, what you call the jewels of
The
Kalam?
Jews, absolutely, absolutely. So this was a very intense, I would say, episode, Dr. And Dr. Basil, thank you very much for yet another
Thank you.
interesting and full of information episode that tells us plenty about our legacy from the great Islamic thinkers and how religion and faith can actually eliminate one's mind without limiting it to be better anchored to truth rather than going limitless into oblivion. So I hope this series would start changing some people's minds
The
about
idea
the
is to inspire others, you know,
absolutely about the
but
real effect.
looking seriously at this and study it and
Absolutely,
defeat it if they want.
yes,
No
yes,
problem.
absolutely, because the truth does not fear debate and discussion
Exactly.
and trying to refute it. And obviously, those Islamic thinkers in the early dawn of Islam, just a few hundred years after the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, had those great ideas because their minds were illuminated and set free by divine revelation
Indeed,
to
indeed.
explore the universe and nature and laws of nature and laws of physics and think about natural philosophy and get and deliver to the world the jewels of Daqiq Al Kalam that were unfortunately lost until recently being rediscovered. So thank you for helping everybody to rediscover our roots in terms of natural philosophy. Please join us next week. And if you have not seen the previous episodes, you can find it on the playlist. And don't forget to subscribe to the channels. Dr. Basil, thank you very much.
Thank
And
you.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi
Wa
wa
alaikum
barakatuh.
assalam.